Okay, welcome folks to the TAG Contributor Strategy session. We're going to be talking about inclusiveness. Unfortunately, I know, the keynotes are just finished maybe a couple minutes ago. They don't let us start the session late, so we're going to go ahead and get going, and people will be coming in as we talk. My name's Josh Berkus. I'm co-chair of TAG Contributor Strategy. We have a panel here who's going to introduce themselves in a minute to talk about inclusiveness. We will answer a few preset questions, and then we're happy to take questions from you. We can take questions two ways. You can ask them out loud, and also Dawn, who's one of my other co-chairs for TAG Contributor Strategy, has index cards and pens if you'd rather write the question down. And pass it up here, and I'll make sure that it gets answered. With that, let's get talking about inclusiveness. And the first part of that is, I wanted to go ahead and ask our panelists to introduce themselves. So why don't you start?
Awesome, thank you so much. I am super excited for this panel discussion today because it's an amazing topic. I'm Nancy. I am co-chair for TAG Environment Sustainability Advocacy. I'm also CNCF ambassador. I've worked as DevOps engineer. I founded Women in Cloud Native Community in December 2022. I'm going to talk more about that in today's panel discussion. I met amazing people in that community. So yeah, and I really love being part of open source community. I've been contributing to open source since 2019, and I think it's going to go for long, for sure.
Okay, my name is Stéphane Este-Gracias. I'm a CNCF ambassador. I contribute to the CNCF glossary project that is the onboarding of newcomers on the cloud native ecosystem, or no more community more. Then I organize some cloud native local meetups, and I contribute as well to the blind and visually impaired initiative, or in short, BVI.
Thank you. Everyone, I'm Sandeep. I work as a lead software engineer at Gen. I am the co-chair of the CNCF Deaf and the Hard of Hearing Working Group. And I'm a member of SIG Contributor Experience and also a member of the TAG Contributor Strategy. I'm a person with hearing impairment, and I rely on captions and lip reading. So if you see me looking at my phone during this panel discussion, I'm not checking my company emails. I'm just following what the co-speakers are speaking. And just like you are here to listen to us, I'm also very excited to listen to my co-speakers because it is the first time I'm meeting them in person. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Khallai Taylor. I'm an observability engineer and consultant at E.ON Digital Technology. I'm also the co-chair or co-organizer of KCD Accra, and I was co-chair of the one and only DBAS Dev Day that we had in Chicago a couple years back. I'm happy to be here, and I'm also a member of BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous, People of Color, and we love to have everyone join us, and we love allies. Yes, I'm looking at you, you, and you. Yes, we would love to have you guys be a part of our community as well.
So, for first question, so first let's start out by talking about why do we need to expand the contributor pipeline, and how does inclusiveness make projects more sustainable?
I think I can go with this one. So I feel like we need more fresh perspective, and if we have more inclusive environment, we have more people, we have diverse set of people, we have fresh ideas coming up. So in a team, if there is just no conflict, then there is a problem because there are no new ideas. So if there is a conflict, if there is a discussion, and if there are different ideas from different set of people, then the growth is going to happen. So I feel like with inclusivity, we get more fresh perspective, new people, creativity. So yeah.
Okay, Stéphane?
Yes, so before answering the question, I would like to put some statistics in place. So I would like to share some information. So 30% of blind people in Europe have only a job. So that in finding a job for others that have difficulties to see is as well difficult. Additionally, color blindness is something important as well. 1 in 12 men and 1 in 200 women have colorblind, so it's difficult for them to assess color in technology when they have to work with this kind of information. So expanding the contributor pipeline matters because it brings diversity, it brings more perspective and experiences to the project, fostering innovation and reducing the risk of echo chambers. And open and welcoming environment attracts individuals from various backgrounds, which not only enrich the project, ideas and solutions, but solutions are also built and more resilient community is built. With broader pool of active contributors, the project is better equipped to maintain momentum where you have some turnover or reduce activity, so it ensures more long-term sustainability and vibrancy.
Okay, I'm going to pass the mic over to Sandeep. So, what does an inclusive and welcoming project look like from your perspective?
Thank you for this question, Josh. So I'll begin by sharing my personal experience. So I sort of started contributing to open source sometime around February 2024, like a year before. And I attended my first Stack contributor strategy meeting. And I did not know anyone. So Josh saw me, and Josh happened to know from Catherine that I'm a person who relies on captions. So I was very nervous, I did not know anyone in the Zoom meeting, and Josh just sent one line, that are the captions working? So that one line made me so much feel belonged and inclusive. So this is something that the project maintainers or the people who are hosting can do, try to be inclusive and accommodative, like just see who are the new members and if they need any accommodations or not. Because not everyone is very open about voicing the accommodations, so if you ask, they might get comfortable sharing the accommodations. The second thing is to make sure that the project contributor docs are in very simple language without any jargon, because not everyone is that technically focused to understand all the jargon. So like having like a simple document with clear diagrams, and then make sure that your diagrams and images have alternative text, because there are blind people who may be reading the doc, so it should be accessible to them. So accessible documentation, accessible meetings is one of the ways you can make your project more inclusive. Thank you.
Pass it over to Khallai, please.
You want me to answer that?
Yeah.
So my perspective might be a little bit different. I think that when it comes to engaging with open source projects here within CNCF, sometimes it just takes one person to respond to a question. If someone asks, how can I get involved? If you're involved, just respond and say, hey, come to the next meeting. Or I'm working on this. Do you want to help out? A lot of times people don't know how to get started. Or there's just some fear there because I'm not sure if I can do this or that, or I know I'm interested in this, how do I get involved? So just being responsive to people is a great way to help people get more involved in these projects, and that contributes to being inclusive, in my opinion.
Okay. So what role do project maintainers play in fostering inclusion? And what are other small but impactful changes they can make?
So I can answer this. So I feel like I'm just going to give the example of the open source meetings, which happens in the CNCF, be it any tag or maybe the release teams. And if you've been contributing, you can relate this to me. So whenever we have these calls, we make sure that we document every stuff, like the project maintainer or maybe the lead of the call, make sure they document everything so that if people want to follow, they can follow it async. There are different ways, like if somebody wants to speak, they just have to raise the hands in the Zoom. So basically, these are the small things. I know these are the small things, but like me, I could see the difference when I started my journey as a DevOps engineer in one of the first organization, and parallelly I was contributing to open source. And I really loved the culture of all those meetings in open source, like how project maintainers were leading the calls. And I kind of went back to my manager and I told that this is how it happens. And I think we should also follow this kind of pattern, because I feel inclusive, I feel heard in those calls, and I feel super comfortable to basically take part in those discussions. Now, what was the main difference between these two? I think we had smarter people in both the places, right? And I think like the main difference was like project maintainer, making sure to create an inclusive environment by adopting different ways of conducting the meetings. Also, I feel like a lot of project maintainers are looking for people who can contribute to their projects for long. And what they can do is they can reach out to different set of people, diverse set of people. Yes, it does take efforts, but maybe you're missing on a great talent. So, for example, in my story, like I joined Tag Environment Sustainability because I was interested in that topic, and I was contributing to that for 1 year. Like I was taking part in the calls. I was genuinely interested and curious. And then the chair at that time, Leo, he reached out to me and asked me, would I be wanting to lead the Sustainability Week initiative? And I felt it so good because I've been contributing to that, and he gave me an opportunity to basically lead it. And now I'm going to basically pass it on to someone else who is new. So basically recognizing who can be the newer people, and also making sure they are a diverse set of people. We are giving opportunity to everyone. Maybe they bring new, fresh perspective, because I led it in a different way. Leo led it in a different way. And we were learning from each other. So yeah, this is something which I feel project maintainers can do, and they've been doing great.
Go ahead.
Thank you for this question, Josh. I'll just share how I got started in my journey in open source. So in the KubeCon in Chicago, thanks to the scholarship, I got a chance to attend it. And I was sitting in the keynote. I just happened to sit next to Catherine. She is also the co-chair of the Tag CS group. And she said, she saw me reading the captions, and she said, are you deaf? I said, yes. And she said she has just helped to find the deaf and the hard of hearing working group. So she said, why don't you join us? And I became its member then and there. And I haven't missed a meeting of the group since the last 1.5 years. From there, I wanted to expand my contributions beyond the deaf and the hard of hearing working group. So then I reached out to Josh, and I began joining the Tag CS meeting. And as I said in my very first meeting, Josh was wonderfully inclusive to me, and that is what got me hooked. So it works as a sort of two ways. He demonstrates inclusiveness, and on my part, I also have to demonstrate the commitment to consistently attend the meeting. So that is the one thing about open source is you cannot just jump in and jump out. You have to maintain a consistency level and consistently contribute. So then I started contributing to Tag CS, and I got a chance to speak at my first ever KubeCon in Paris, where I was a part of panel discussion with Josh. And from there, I wanted to still expand my contributions. So then I reached out to Madhav. So he's a technical lead of 6 country-based group. And the beauty about open source is that you can reach out to anyone, to senior, junior, anyone in open source. There are no enemies in open source. Everyone is so very welcoming. So Madhav then connected me to Kathleen Fields, and I began contributing to comms. And I wrote a spotlight for the deaf and the hard of hearing working group. And I understood like what goes on behind the scenes, how to bring a spotlight. So I thought writing a blog is a piece of cake, it's so easy. It isn't. It goes to so many multiple levels of review because the blog is on the Kubernetes contributor website. So it has to be reviewed very, very carefully. Every word has to be reviewed. And it went through so many review comments and cycles before finally making the light of the day. And then I got to know that there is something known as a Kubernetes Contributor Summit. So I did not know what is a TAG tag. I thought it is a tag that we attach to a virtual machine and not a technical advisory group. And then I did not know what is a Kubernetes Contributor Summit. I thought it's probably some different summit. So I got a chance to be a shadow to the KCS comms team. And that was when I learned what is a shadow. So my lead, Kathleen Fields, she created a very wonderful document. And so it became very easy to get onboarded as a shadow. And I wrote probably like 55 emails or something about the KCS Summit. And then in the Salt Lake City, I got the job for the Carry Water Award, which was beyond my expectations. So for someone who started the journey in open source in April last year to getting an award in November. This isn't just my story, but it is more about the story of how all those leads helped me to enable. They helped and empowered me in so many stages, which helped me to reach that stage. So the project maintainers play a very, very crucial role. And lastly, all of your meetings should be documented and sorted so that people who may miss the meetings or maybe people who rely on captions or something may be able to go through your meeting notes. So make sure that all of your meetings are thoroughly documented. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, before we go to the next question, just wanted to say if anybody in the audience has questions and you'd rather write them down than coming up to the mic, again, we have index cards over here, so just raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll take one more question, and then we'll open it up to audience questions. So you want to pass the mic down to Khallai? So are there examples of successful initiatives that help diversify a project's contributor base, and what made them work?
Oh, well, I'm so glad you asked. Okay, so we're working on one now called BIPOC that I talked about earlier. That is considered an initiative, so like we're just getting started. So what we're trying to do is bring in people from underrepresented backgrounds in tech, especially in this cloud native space, and their allies, to help them understand how to contribute, how to get started in open source, how to become a speaker. Like me sitting right here on this panel is because I got involved with that group because someone asked me, would I be interested in just talking with people on Slack who are in this BIPOC group. BIPOC is Black, Indigenous, People of Color. And what this does is that this allows us to understand, one, how do you approach a maintainer? Or two, how do you actually just get started with going to a meeting? Where do you find these meetings? If anybody doesn't know, finding a meeting for any of these strategy groups or any of these working groups is kind of confusing. But people reach out to you when you ask, how do I find the meeting I want to attend? And somebody from that group will respond to you and just send you the link. Show up at this time, we're happy to have you. For me personally, when I'm here at our KubeCons, I do the hallway conference. That's the one where we're talking to each other outside of these meetings, trying to connect and build relationships, and then I follow up with them afterwards, or they follow up with me, and we build some type of communication so that I can get more involved or they can start getting more involved with the initiatives that we're working on. So hopefully that answered your question. Hopefully it wasn't too long-winded. You guys are okay, yeah? Yeah. All right, I see some smiles. Okay, so it's good.
Okay, so we'll take Nancy next on that one, and then you.
I could just share an,
go ahead.
An example of the deaf and the hard of hearing working group. So the working group had about 7 talks in the KubeCon. And the members of the working group are so busy with the talks and the project kiosk that we are sort of running. And it's not that we are only doing diversity talks. So from the 7 talks, the 5 talks are purely technical, and only 2 talks are about the contributor strategy and the diversity. So this is a very good example of how when you come together as a group, you stay focused and work smart and work hard, you can make a very big impact at a conference like KubeCon. Thank you.
That's so great. I mean, I really loved when you mentioned there has been 7 talks. That's amazing. So I'm going to share about yesterday we had a Women in Cloud Native gathering, and it was shocking to me. So when I asked how many of you are the first time KubeCon or the conference comers, they were like more than 90% people raised their hands. So at that moment, I felt like that's one of the good initiatives because we more than 90% women coming for the first time to the KubeCon. Yes, that's great. Them connecting with the senior leaders, that's great. And we had a lot of discussions on each table, and we concluded that for the growth of any individual, be it anyone, you need a mentor. And conferences like this is a great place to get a mentor. And I think like and we are also, Josh is going to talk more about it. We are also going to launch a mentorship program. So if you are interested to be a mentor, please be, because I've been like trying to run this community, and we need more and more people. It just becomes hard. If we have more people collaborating on this, it's going to be great. Like, for example, and the best thing is like you collaborate. Like, I really want to appreciate Catherine, Josh, contributor strategy. Like, they help so much. Like, I was discussing the same thing with Josh yesterday, that maybe if you could come and you can, give a workshop on public speaking, because a lot of people, they're not good at it, and they're good at the work, but they just don't know how to present their views. So things like this, the collaboration happens in conferences, and I think with the initiatives like this. So really, thank you so much for contributor strategy.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. I've got a link up there to the Mentors program if you're interested in mentoring folks out of the inclusiveness effort. If you don't want to do the whole QR code thing, you can also go to the Tag Contributor Strategy repo on GitHub, and we've got a page there, inclusiveness document, that will have links to this, and we'll continue to build it out with links to new initiatives that arise. In the meantime, I want to ask a question from Lonnie, I think, from Wikimedia, who asked, as an engineering manager, how can I support inclusive spaces for contributors and best prepare my engineers to help support and/or participate in these inclusive efforts? Anyone who wants to start.
That's a really very good question. So I'm really fortunate to have like a truly wonderful manager who actually allows me to attend open source conferences, gives me a break from work to come and speak here. Without the support from my organization, my manager, it wouldn't have been possible. And how can you support inclusiveness? So as I said, even in the deaf spectrum, not everyone reads and relies on captions like me. There are some who sign, there are some who use a mix of signing and lip reading, so everyone has their own individual way of accessibility. So the first thing that you can do is to just let your team know that you are always open to providing accommodations, so that they feel free to share what accommodations they need. And then you can take it on a case-by-case basis, because it's not necessary that, as I said, that accessibility is not necessary like a very huge budget thing. And it is not necessary that it has to be like a rocket science or something. It is just about accessibility, it's just about having an open mind, a bit of empathy, a dash of awareness, and lots of willingness to be a genuine ally. So you could try to be just an ally without actually having that title. Like I have some friends who they don't know what is allyship, but are very wonderful allies. I mean, in my entire life, I've had people who are hearing, fully able-bodied people who help me. Whether it is my open source journey, whether it is my career, always some people chose to believe in me, having faith in me, giving me the opportunity. Like I cannot listen on the phone, and yet my manager sent me to client's places. And the client had a Santa Claus-like beard, so I couldn't lip read him. And I got nervous. My manager said, you have come to work, just focus on work. And when I finished the work before time, the client actually gave me a job offer, which I politely declined. So there are so many ways you can support accessibility. It is just about having a frank conversation, about keeping an open mind and understanding the needs, and then see what budget you have and how can you make it a more inclusive, more welcoming space so that everyone feels happy, belong, and included.
Thank you. So I'm going to come at that a little bit different direction. You're the manager, right? Woman. Okay. So I've been in tech for 20 years. It's rare that I see many female managers. So I love to see you very much. I think a good way to support people, and I'm going to come from a woman's perspective right now, there's always someone on the team that yells the loudest to drain out other voices, assist your people or your person with the ability to speak their voice and to make clear what it is they're trying to express, like their ideas or contribution. Don't dismiss it. right? It's helpful, especially a young woman coming into the field, right? When your manager does that and listens to you and encourages you, it just makes you more motivated to do a great job at what you're doing, but it actually makes you enjoy the work that you're doing. I have a great manager. He's sitting right back there, so I'm happy. I'm very supported. He's trying to hide.
Yeah.
But I enjoy E.ON because ever since I was brought into the company, the managers that I've had have been male, but they have been very supportive. They listen to my ideas. They allow me to come to KubeCon and participate in open source. Our open source manager is right there. So I really appreciate that. And other people would appreciate that, especially if they're underrepresented in this field or new to the field, because young men coming in the field can also sometimes feel drowned out, and they just need a little bit more encouragement. So that's just my little 2 cents. Hope that helped.
Yeah, you want to take it?
No, I don't have any answer to that question, but I can follow the question we have.
Well, let's first see, did we have more questions from the audience? Anyone else? Okay, well, we'll take the next prepared question. And if you think of something, don't hesitate to raise your hand. What are some barriers to contributing to projects that you've encountered that you think most people in the CNCF don't know about?
Yeah, so basically I will give you some tips and tricks that are mostly common sense. When you use diagrams or pictures, when you describe the architecture of your project, think about how people cannot see diagrams, so put more descriptive information there with the text, and during the meetings, speak loud and explain what you show, instead of saying, please show this, explain explicitly what you show to the audience. And when you communicate, most of the time we use some fun memes or GIFs. And for this, I suggest you to add into parentheses the meaning you would like to share to the audience by this meme or GIFs. And for the projects, when you do meetings, especially with a working group or office hours, when you demonstrate something with command line, etc., so please share some Git repository there and the environment you use to let everyone to reuse what you presented. And something I would like to add as well is, as soon as you get people in the meeting, to be more welcoming during the meetings, do a roundtable at the beginning. It will be as well better to get newcomers, whatever he comes from, and after this, he will know better who is who in the room, and he can participate better into your projects.
Great. Do we have another question from the audience?
Can I add just one thing?
Go for it.
Always allow people to ask questions. Just saying, let them question. Engineers are going to question everything. If they're not questioning something, then are they really an engineer? Because I'm just saying, we have to question everything and allow that to happen so that everyone can grow on the team and just enjoy what they do. Because I ask all kinds of questions.
Okay.
Can I also add?
Go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, whenever I visit KubeCon, I feel there's still huge room for improvement, like there's huge space for improvement, like in terms of representation. I see very few, women speakers and speakers from other groups, like, so there's a huge space there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to bring this up so that people have time to see some of the other stuff while we're still talking. So again, I'm going to pause to see if there's a question from the audience. Okay. We'll take, so for those who want to help but aren't sure where to start, what are some concrete ways folks who aren't project maintainers can do to support underrepresented contributors? We've talked about what project maintainers and leads can do. Now what can other people do?
Yes, so first you can just go to the webpage of Contributor Strategy. So we'll give the link at the end of the sessions. And basically all initiative has a monthly meeting you can join. So, and if you cannot join, all meetings are recorded and you can get them back on YouTube. You have all initiatives some Slack channels for discussion, so feel free to join, and we need more allies to the all initiatives. So as other projects, we need more people to be more sustainable and be more with more vibrancy into our initiative.
I think you wanted to say.
So I think that a good way is to be an ally. I believe in allyship, so it's a great way to be involved and to help people and just invite people to things, because in my opinion, CNCF is massive and it's just hard to find stuff. So sometimes someone just needs an invitation. So I just think that's a great way.
Just one line about allyship. So allyship is something that when you start doing, there comes a time when you actually internalize it. For example, like I've had many friends who use wheelchair. Okay, but I'm deaf, but I still have friends outside the circle, so people who use wheelchair. And so now, say I and my partner, we are going into a cave, and we found that the entrance was not wheelchair friendly. And we just raised it. So none of us was using a wheelchair, but when you internalize it, you sort of start seeing, is this accessible, is this not accessible? So once this starts happening, once it starts flowing in your blood, you sort of become a true analyst. Thank you.
Okay. So, any thoughts to wrap up?
Yes, as a final source, something I would like to wrap up to onboard talent efficiently, meritocracy ensure that opportunities and recognition are based on skills, potentials, and contribution, rather than arbitrary factors. So true meritocracy isn't about evaluating talents solely on current achievements, but recognizing potential and overcoming systemic biases. Real inclusion means actively counteracting biases that undervalue underrepresented talents.
Anything else?
Yeah, I just want to say, like, if you have time and if you can be a mentor, please be a mentor. If you have time in your teams and you can be more inclusive and help anyone else to collaborate with you. I mean, like the last question which you asked, Josh, if you can, like, be a co-speaker with someone, if you can just invite a new person, a newbie with you, just go for it. You are going to leave a huge impact on their lives. So, yes.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you so much. And thanks everyone for coming. And I hope to see some of you around our various inclusiveness efforts in the future.
Yay, we're done.
Thank you.